All right, welcome to Simply Bitcoin, the channel that breaks down all the daily Bitcoin news, daily fail, meme review, and software releases. Drop us a like and subscribe. Let's kick it off with the numbers. Here we go.
Clock Moody Dashboard.
All right, so we're starting with a block height of 657,265, Bitcoin price of 16,738. Chain rewrite days 616, and the total lightning capacity 1,038.69 BTC.
Those numbers are looking good. And guys, we are changing Satoshi the Chicken's role. Every time the price of Bitcoin is higher than the day before, Satoshi the Chicken is going to say some words of wisdom. And today, what are your words of wisdom, Satoshi the Chicken? There you go. You heard it from him first. Phil, it's time for
the daily fail. Oh, Ivan on Tech, the shitcoiner, the guy who sat there and scammed so many people into buying garbage EOS, among other shitcoins. Anyways, scammers stole 8 million this week. 6 million from Value DeFi hack. Value. That's a funny word there. 2 million from Acropolis hack. DeFi is anti-fragile. I don't think what that means. With each hack, we are getting stronger. There's so much wrong with that tweet. To use the word anti-fragile to talk about DeFi, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like the level of retardation there is, I don't even know what to say.
Dude, my favorite line was, with each hack we're getting stronger. It's like every time my wallet gets stolen, I'm
getting stronger.
Wow, bro.
This guy, like, it's unbelievable the amount of denial, right? And don't get me wrong, but like he, on his channel, he sits there and he comments about the people who talk about him shitcoin, okay, and being a scammer. And he justifies it through, the quote unquote programming education that he gives, teaching people to essentially learn how to write shitcoin code.
Oh my God. Teaching people how to write DeFi. DeFi's not decentralized, everybody, but
it sure isn't, and it's proving it to everybody.
It's proving it to everybody. Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, guys. So our meme for today is brought to us by Bitcoin Movie Clips, aka his handle is Bloody Bitcoiner. Shout out to him. And this looks like Lord of the Rings, so I'm very excited.
Yeah.
It's like in the great stories, Mr. Fertile. The ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow, even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. That meant something. Even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Fertile, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. Because they were holding on to something. What are we holding on to, Sam? There's some good in this world, Mr. Fertile. And it's worth fighting for.
Dude,
That's awesome.
okay.
Oh my
Phil,
God, that's awesome.
Phil, that was perfect. That was a 10. That was a 10. What about you?
Here we go.
10 as well. Dude,
I can't. I mean, like that was ridiculous.
That first of all, the source material, Lord of the Rings, amazing movie. I had no idea it could relate to Bitcoin. Obviously, it can. And dude, just the cherry on top, and you know that I have a weakness for laughter. Is Craig Wright as Gollum?
That is perfect. Like from now on, like that's how I'm referring to him on Twitter. That's he was Gollum.
Oh yeah,
That's exactly
Craig Wright is Gollum. Oh, dude, it was that was a perfect meme. Shout out, man. Shout out to Bloody Bitcoiner, man. That was amazing. Phil,
It's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
alrighty. So the news for today, it made quite a splash on Twitter. There was a lot of Bitcoin OGs commenting on this. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So Citibank analyst says Bitcoin could pass 300K by December 2021. Guys, this is the second major financial traditional bank to just make a 180 following JP Morgan, right? So man, this is absolutely hilarious. To quote a lot of what he was saying, says basically that the Citibank executive drew on Bitcoin's 2010 to 2011's exponential move as being very reminiscent of the 1970 gold market. So, guys, look, I'm not so much concerned about the analysis or, the prediction. What I'm seeing as so bullish is that you're seeing a traditional legacy financial bank do a complete 180 into Bitcoin. First they ignore you, then they fight you, and then they're going to have to join you or else they're going to go out of business. So I see this as a big win. Whether the prediction comes true or not, absolutely irrelevant. I just love the fact that Citibank had to eat their own insert word here. So what are your thoughts on this, Phil?
Yeah, man, Big Boring has joined the playground, right? Like these companies, they have no choice. They can't ignore Bitcoin. And this is exactly it. And again, bullish hopium aside, right? Like not even talking about the stupid number that they just randomly pulled out of a hat, because let's be honest, if there are a bunch of number guessers in the current legacy system and they have no idea what they're doing, what makes anybody think that the numbers that they're guessing for Bitcoin make any sense? I think that, I think that their guess is as good as anybody's. But again, like you mentioned, right? It's the symbolism that matters. It's that these financial institutions, slow and boring as they are turning towards Bitcoin.
Absolutely. And Citibank is just another one of those big time investors, hedge funds, and public companies that have turned extremely bullish on Bitcoin. So I absolutely agree with you, Phil. And let's move on to our next piece of news, which is very insidious.
What do we got?
Okay, guys. So
oh yeah,
the FinCEN wants details on all cross-border transactions. So what are they referring to? They're referring to something called the travel rule, right? And they're basically proposing this new thresholds where it would basically go down from $3,000 at its current law right now, its current standing, down to $250. I see that as tyranny. And for anyone that doesn't know what the travel rule is, basically any type of, if an exchange holds your Bitcoin and they send it to you, or if you buy Bitcoin on an exchange and you withdraw it, or you basically anything that that has to do with an on and off ramp, the travel rule applies, right? And I think that it's absolutely draconian, right? And I'm going to put an exact definition right here so you guys could read it, but I think it's absolutely draconian, right, from the government to basically make all these companies bookkeep. You know how much resources that takes, right?
Ridiculous.
Every $250 withdrawal or deposit they're going to have to report it to Big Daddy government, right? So, man, I think that's absolutely terrifying. What are your thoughts on this, Phil?
Okay, so just to make sure, I understand this though. So if I'm transferring just like to somebody in a different country, that also applies to the travel rule.
So I'm
Like
not
person to person?
I'm not quite sure that actually applies to the travel rule, Phil.
No. Okay.
But I will put the actual definition right here so you guys can see for yourself.
So,
I might be wrong here, Phil, but I think that it only applies to institutions and exchanges.
So I mean, look, this is the other point I wanted to make was this is just the continued it's just like an octopus, right? Like they get their tentacles in everything. The current system is so tied up in regulations, so much red tape. When you look around at when you're going to do something, usually the majority of what you're doing is a process. The actual act of what you want to do is usually minimal and takes seconds. It's the red tape that's tied around it. And this is something that they're excellent at doing, right? They just come in, they introduce red tape, and the companies that really can't afford it just simply disappear by the wayside, or they get busted, right? They end up, having a problem of some sort and they have to shut down either way. So to me, this is just this is like another strangling tactic, Don't forget, right? When they're going to attack, when they're attacking, right? They're going to attack from all sides.
Absolutely.
Right? And they've only begun.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time where they will start requiring individuals to make these, to basically declare any transactions over 250.
Yep.
I think that the travel rule, it only applies to exchanges and institutions and stuff. But they're just planting the seed. They're trying to get people used to this idea. Remember, guys, that when this $10,000 limit law was implemented back in the 1970s, when you used to be able to travel with that. Remember that $10,000 back then was worth, $60,000-$70,000 because of inflation, right? They kept the law in place. They never adjusted it to inflation, but now the monetary value is severely, it's much less, it just decreased, right? So they're very sneaky with this, and they're just trying to get people used to this, right? That's how you convince the human psyche, right? You don't do it all at once, you just start trying to push the border more and more to try to see what you can get away with. So man, so this travel rule of $250 reporting requirement is absolutely absurd. And Phil, there was an important software update that we have to tell you guys today. Why don't you tell us about it, Phil?
Software updates. Okay, so today we're going to switch it up a little bit. Okay, it's actually a software update, and it is that the new macOS Big Sur update breaks the Electrum wallet. The Electrum developers are aware, and they're currently working on a fix, and are claiming that it should be out shortly. So links to the details down below.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. I hope everyone had a good weekend. I hope you guys are ready for a whole new awesome week of more Simply Bitcoin, and perhaps we have a very special guest coming on. Of course, guys, you know what to do. If you like the episode, give it a thumbs up. If you guys love the episode, subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Simply Bitcoin and No Shitcoins.